Hello, and welcome to A Voice of Generation X, the little podcast that will not stop. This is with Andrea Lambert today, as my various co hosts are all busy, and I felt this strange drive to put something out, so et voila. Um, really, what I've been thinking about today and what I've been thinking about lately is anger, rage. It's a combination of various political things happening. If you know. I don't even know as much as I could know, but because I don't watch the news, but I've heard enough. But the sense of powerlessness that I have as a housewife with no car, who really should be cleaning right now, but oh well, I decided to do something else. Anyway, it's like there's a lake of rage inside of me, and most of the time, decorum and propriety and all my training as a woman keeps that fairly shoved down and more like around the stomach area, I guess, if we were going to get totally technical with that, which we don't need to. But sometimes, and I've heard with menopause, this just gets worse and worse and worse. So I'm just like, oh dear, here we go. Um, the rage just rises and it spills out, and I'm luckily, and I'm really glad for this, I haven't gotten really angry at my husband. When I was first going through perimenopause, I was like, I'm so glad I'm not with anyone because how could I possibly? But he's a lucky lad, and that I haven't unleashed the torrent on him. But I'm less prone to ranting than I used to be, and more prone to just shutting off the conversation right there. For example, in my various experimentations with AI cinema, which for me is super fun. I mean, this is the first actual video thing I filmed in a while, and I'm like, oh, these details need changing. And I mean, of course, I can't capture that type of perfection with an iPhone and a ring light. What was I going to say? Yes, so the frustration and the rage just kind of boils and bubbles underneath the daily things I have to do or want to do. I mean, it's pretty much at a wheelhouse work, so of course I do it. But I do what I want, on my schedule. Today I just felt so wrecked, just so completely exhausted that all I could do was lay in bed and watch Sex in the City, which, I mean, I do not recommend. Laying in bed, yeah, that's great. But that show is so bad. It's so, I don't use this word often, but cringe. It hits those little notes sometimes, and I'm like, ooh, I can't. But I finished Mad Men, so apart from cleaning the cat box, what was I going to do? This, I'm sure, is really fascinating. Okay, well, I guess since I kind of launched into this without any specific plot points in mind, usually I jot a few things down, but then if I'm doing a conversation with someone, we just bounce off each other. So, um, hmm. I'm glad enough to say that I'm happy and I'm content in this marriage and this housewifely life. I wish I still wrote as much as I used to. Since my traumatic brain injury a few years ago, I haven't been writing really. I mean, even my most recent book, A Wife in Death and Life, was mostly assembled from older writings done while my first wife was still alive. So And that book kind of came out to crickets, but isn't that always the way? I would so love to be a big five author and have big to dos. And I know from experience, from being in the literary scene for a long time, that if you want to have a big to do for your book party, you've got to throw it yourself and organize it yourself and probably pay people or at least pay for some things. And I had a book party here for in my house in our party room for A Wife and Death in Life. And it was actually super fun. I was really happy that a lot of people came and they seemed genuinely interested in the work, and it was a good time. But now that I don't live in LA anymore, it's been about a decade. I live in Reno, which I just am not connected so much here to other artists apart from the ones that I just know incidentally from them being part of our friend group. So, I mean, while I'm married to the guy in Void Singer, one of the guys, and his friend Rob, and they're always coming up with like amazing music every 2 weeks. There's a new album, and I'm like, oh my god. And we have this sort of, and not so much power couple problems, but it's more like two egos in one space, though each excelling in different mediums. Thank goodness. It's really hard if it's the same. And just doing what they can and doing what they do. And so right now he's at work, so I'm podcasting. You know, I've learned I have to share half the weekend with the band while he goes and makes his electronic music with Rob Pelican, and that's well, I miss him. Of course I miss him. You know, when you're married, when you're newlywed, your partner is like your favorite person ever, and you always want to hang out with them. So, yes, I do miss him. But oh, he's actually gonna be coming home shortly. Not before this is done, but a few hours. So, in terms of what have I been writing and reading lately, I have a work in progress called, very unoriginally, I'll probably change this, I Married a Musician. And I was trying to delve into sort of what it's like to be a menopausal woman who used to be quite the rock and roll groupie and get pulled back into that life when you're thinking you're exiting all forms of life because my hair has turned gray and all that. That's something I really appreciate about Generation X women is that they are not going gently into that good night. They are speaking up and being present and engaging in culture and all these things that I was taught that after a certain age you just do not do. Like there's some sort of horrible thing that will happen if someone sees a woman over 40 on television. I mean, it's absurd, right? Because it's like I probably have a good 20, 30, maybe 40 if I'm lucky years left. And what am I supposed to do? Just sit around in the dark and watch myself decay? I'm not really vain enough to even watch. But anyway, that's back to aging. We were going to do Aging Among the Ruins as a two-part series, but Cheryl's been, Serena Havoc's been very busy. So anyway, this is sort of the non-entity of Generation X podcasts, but maybe some of you will watch, maybe some of you will have fun. And until then, thank you for listening or watching to A Voice of Generation X with Andrea Lambert.